It's time. I'm going all in on my Ironman training. But first, I'm going to have a cheat and recovery week. I just got back from my trip from Tucson where I was training as much as I possibly could. The only issue, I was just aiming for as much volume as I could. So I built up a really good base and foundation, which is great, but I wouldn't say everything was optimized. My diet, my nutrition, my recovery, my training. Whereas now I'm 4 months out from my first Ironman. I want to be as optimized as I possibly can with all those categories. And when I show up on race day on my very first Ironman, I want to be able to say that I prepared and put as much effort as I possibly could into my training, into my diet, into my recovery, and that there isn't anything more than I could have done during my preparation for my first Ironman. So that's going to be my main focus. However, before I do actually go all in, I want to give myself this rest recovery cheat week. And the main reason for that is because of my time in Tucson where I was training so much, I never gave myself and my body time to really recover and rest, where my legs were constantly sore and tired, and I probably never was able to have those great efforts that I probably was striving for because they were at a disadvantage because they were tired or sore and they needed time to recover. So that's a little bit of that. And I don't want to lose all the momentum I built up over time because I built up such a great foundation with Tucson. I'm still going to be training a little bit, but it's going to be toned back a lot more compared to what it was before, and just trying to rest and recover before I do actually go all in and try and optimize everything as much as possible. And the other thing is with this cheat week, I'm going to be really strict with my diet. And I know some people might say that's not a cheat meal, that's a cheat meal, and it's really subjective. So there's going to be a little bit of variance there, what I think is a cheat meal versus what other people might think is a cheat meal. And I know in endurance sports and endurance athletes, they might eat a lot of sugars because they're like, it just goes straight to the bloodstream. They might eat a bag of gummies or something like that. It's like, I don't want to have that. I want to be eating and optimizing as much as possible. It's like everything that I eat, I want it to serve a purpose. I want, whether I'm eating a banana, I want it to be because I need the micro and macronutrients. Whether I'm eating a steak or potatoes or broccoli, whatever it might be, I want everything to serve a purpose. So I'm going to be cutting out a lot of that added sugars and only aiming for whole, real, and natural foods. I don't want anything processed. And it's just going to be trying to be as clean as possible, to be as optimized as possible. So this week, I'm going to try and enjoy a little bit of other foods. I'm going to have pizza probably tonight. Probably have some Timbits, some donuts. I love sweets. And I got my mom's birthday, so maybe I'll have a cake or something there. And maybe I'll have some more desserts. I don't know. We'll find out. But this is going to be a rest and recovery week, cheat meal as well, before I do actually dive into going all in with my Ironman training. One area that I have been bad in the past is warming up and loosening up before any of my workouts, whether it's a run, bike, swim. I'm always just going straight into it, and my warm-up lap is basically my warm-up and loosening up. So that's one thing I'm going to start prioritizing with my runs, my bikes, my swims, is warming and loosening up before I actually go into the actual activity. And then at the end, I might start stretching as well, because that's one thing I do also neglect. I stretch every morning, but I never stretch post-activity. So those are a few things that I am going to be prioritizing during this all-in phase. Quick side note, I've been wanting to weigh myself for about 3 months now. I haven't weighed myself since I got back from Texas, so I'm going to do that real quick. Last I weighed myself, I was 160. I'm interested to see where I'm at now. I have put on a lot of weight. I got to start watching that a lot more. 10 pounds. All right. It's time to kick in. Another area that I'm going to be going all in on that I believe is going to have a really big impact on my training is right over here. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. I'm going to make a separate video on it. I've been using it for about a week, and I think it's had a pretty good impact on my training so far. So I want to use it a little bit more to give it some more time, and I think it's going to be more of a longer term play, but I think it's really going to help prepare me for my actual Ironman, where it's giving me a little bit more rest, a little bit more recovery, a little bit more structure in my actual plan and workout. So I'm going to make a separate video on that, but that's going to be another area that's going to help me go all in with my training here. So one thing that I did see while I was in Tucson and swimming in the swim class, some of the guys were doing some dry land training. So I think that's one thing I'm going to start incorporating a little bit more is just working on my stroke a little bit. I don't know. I'll watch some YouTube videos on what exactly to do, or just kind of getting the motion, and then also stretching out my shoulders a little bit to make sure the flexibility is there as well. So I do want to incorporate a lot more dry land training for especially my swimming, just because like I mean, these guys are pros, so if they're doing it, got to be something right there. And then also at the same time, I was working out a lot in the past, but my working out wasn't exactly tailored towards training for, say, a marathon, say Ironman. So I'm gonna tailor my workouts to a little bit more so towards actually Ironman training, so it's supplemental. And I would like to get there about 2 times per week, maybe 1 to 3 times is going to be the goal. The primary focus is run, bike, swim. This is just supplemental to add into the actual training programs as well. So a few things that I'm going to be adding in is dry land training with these rubber bands, and then also working out to be more supplemental with my Ironman training. So incorporating some deadlifts, some lunges, some high knees, just trying to make sure that everything that I'm doing is more of a benefit towards training and not maybe. I think bench press can be associated with it, but it's not very so much. So it's trying to focus the workouts to be more functional towards actually Ironman training. So those are a few things that I do also want to incorporate as well. And with going to the gym, there's actually one benefit that comes with it afterwards that ties into one of the areas that I'm going to be trying to prioritize as much as I can, which is rest and recovery. They got a sauna there. So every time after I work out, I go in the sauna. So 1 to 3 times per week, I'm working out, but at the same time, I'm getting 1 to 3 saunas per week. And another area that I haven't pulled the trigger on, but it's been on my list for a while that I do want to do, but it's just so damn expensive, is getting a cold plunge. I thought about getting a bucket or something and just using that, but it's warming up here, so I might just stick with the bathtub and do cold baths. I actually did that today when it's freaking cold. So either ice baths in the bathtub or potentially pulling the trigger on the ice bath, which I don't know if I will or not. And then the other area that I do want to prioritize is sleeping and making sure that I'm getting enough sleep, because before I actually went to Tucson, I was not prioritizing my sleep and recovery as much as possible, because that's part of everything. And I was probably getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep per night. Sometimes I was waking up at 2:30 in the morning, which is not ideal. And once I went to Tucson, I really prioritized sleep as much as I could. And now I'm trying to make sure I'm in bed for at least 8 hours. So that's one area that I'm going to be prioritizing a lot more, is my rest, recovery, incorporating saunas and ice baths after long runs, hard workouts, whatever it might be. So rest and recovery is going to be another area that I'm going to be going all in on. So those are the few ways that I plan on going all in on my training. I'm the type of person to just go all in, whether it's my diet and just cutting anything unnecessary, anything unhealthy out of it, where to me, it's not that hard. I can last, say, 4 months without having a cookie or having some cake. I don't really need to have that in my diet. So for me, I just want to be going all in anywhere I can. So the diet, the rest and recovery, making sure that I'm prioritizing that. If I'm not feeling a day, just giving myself some time off to actually recover so I can come back and have a really good workout. Whether I'm in a workout and there's a hard segment in it, making sure that I'm giving it all that I can, where I'm not really leaving anything left on the table. And then also stretching, making sure that my body's recovered before workouts, making sure I'm getting a nice warm up in where I'm not just going straight into it. And I find a lot of the times when I do that with my runs, my first 5 to 10 minutes, my legs are a little bit sore because they're just maybe a little bit shocked because they aren't ready for it. So warming up a little bit, and then after runs, maybe giving a little stretch here and there, making sure I'm loosening up a little bit. So those are just a few areas that I plan on going all in on, but it's going to be with the whole training. I want to be able to say no as much as possible, whether it's going out, whether it's having snacks, whether it's eating unhealthy. It's focusing 100% on my Ironman, because that's basically what I got my eyes on, and I got tunnel vision towards that, and I want to be as prepared as possible when race day comes. I want to make sure that there wasn't anything during training that I could have done, that the only thing that I can really do or can't control is the amount of time I have preparing. So with the limited amount of time that I have preparing, I want to make sure that I put in everything that I possibly can. And with that limited time, I want to make sure I show up on race day and I gave it everything I could. And then I leave everything that I can have on the court or on the race when I do actually race. So that's my plan. I'm going all in. And side note, I am over this cheat week and I'm on my first week. I've been in about 100 to 300 calorie deficit. I'm already down 5 pounds. Got about another 5 or so before I'm at, say, my goal weight that I want to be at. And I think race weight, I want to be between 155 and 160. Currently, I'm at 166. So I've already lost my weight. So it's looking good. It's looking promising. And once I do hit that, I'm gonna make sure that I'm maintaining my weight from there and I'm not in that calorie deficit, because at the same time I don't want to hinder my training because I'm not giving my body enough nutrients, micro, macro, whatever it might be, or enough calories in my diet to actually be able to recover. So under nutritioning is not really good, because at the same time you can get injured from that. So I want to make sure at the same time I'm monitoring that I don't actually get injured and I'm consuming enough fuel to be able to recharge. So that's my plan, to go all in for this Ironman. I want to be able to make sure that I am as prepared as possible when I do get there. So I do appreciate you watching this, and we'll catch you in the next one.